So everybody says if you take the coordinates to the Miami Mall and you reverse them, it'll put you in Antarctica.
Yeah, it's a fucking grid system, dude. Latitude, longitude. It's a grid system. Yeah, that's how it works.
So all this talk of portals and stuff opening up, right? You change the north to east and change the west to south. That's it. It puts you right in Antarctica. Isn't that crazy?
Except it isn't, dude. It isn't. Have you ever seen a graph? It's not that crazy. I want to be an idiot. I want to be dumb, dude. Because you got to be dumb to just, oh, somebody told me if you mix these numbers, then that's a portal to another. No further questions.
Now watch this. Watch what happens when I change the south and the east to north and west. Look where it puts me in.
Is it putting you on the other side of the graph, dude? Are you going to the other side of the graph?
The North Pole. Well, this is Greenland technically, but it's right there by the North Pole. Now, what are the odds of that?
It is a grid system. The odds are pretty fucking good, dude. Have you never seen a graph? There's more than the L. You can go up, you can go down, you can go left and right. It's a grid system, dude. What the fuck are you not getting about this? I wish I was an idiot, dude. Your life seems simple and great, and I'm envious.
I don't know why that guy's rant really does it for me. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the following program, INSTA-SHOW for March 25th. I am your host, Joe Neerman, a.k.a. Good Lawgic. I'm not going to kid you. I really was not that down with the whole Signal Gate fiasco and spending like all night talking about it. I really wasn't. I was like, this is stupid. This is so stupid. Everything about this is stupid. Everything about this is stupid. The crazy shrieking outrage of the left of like, oh my God, heads have to roll. Dude, Biden killed 13 soldiers in Afghanistan. You see the shrieking from like heads rolling? No repercussions. Does this look like a screw up? I don't know. Some people say yeah. Some people say this is obviously some sort of game that they were playing with Jeffrey Goldberg. It doesn't even matter. Like how do you open your mouth? How do you open your mouth and complain about like, oh, this guy from the Atlantic was incorporated in the chat? Okay. All right. Let's assume the worst. Let's assume that it was a complete and total bungle job. Let's assume that. Let's just start with that assumption. Wow, someone really screwed up. Well, fortunately, did anybody die? No. Is this embarrassing? Yeah. Are we screaming? Ah! Like, all right. Now we have Senate congressional hearings. Let's just bring everyone on in here. Let's bring them on in here. Is it something that like I just want to sit there watching these senators grandstand about, you know, the Democrats screaming about like, oh, this is an abject failure and it's a reflection of the whole Trump administration and blah, blah, blah. And you're ill-equipped to handle this. And this is why I voted against you. I didn't watch any of it because I know what they're going to say. We all know what they're going to. We all know. Ask me right now. Just ask me. I can play the role of any Democrat senator. It's so transparent. It's all political theater. And it's political theater at a time when politics matters so little because nobody remembers anything that happens in an odd number year when they're voting in an even number year. That's just reality. I hate to burst everyone's bubble here. Everyone's been very excited. Things sky high for Trump. His popularity soaring through the roof. It's all very nice and wonderful. More people saying now, according to Harry Anton, more people saying now that the country is on the right track than at any time in the last 20 years. They have 45% of the country saying, according to CNN poll, I think there was an NBC poll, a Marist poll, All of them showing that it's around 44 to 45% of the country. And this is from left-leaning pollsters saying the country is headed now in the right direction, a much higher number than we ever see from any president ever. But Obama never got that. Obama never got that. Never. That's what we have here today. Is that going to help us in the next election? No, not at all. Not at all. I got to tell you right now, if the economy is stinking in 2026, we're going to see an influx of blue. That's what's going to happen. If the economy is soaring in 2026, you'll see that it will hold the House and probably gain some seats. That's just the nature of politics, which is why people grandstanding in something that's not going to have any sort of actual fallout of heads rolling or anything of that nature is kind of just that. It's empty grandstanding, and it's empty grandstanding at a time which has zero impact on America or its future or anything else. But I know people wanted me to come out here tonight and talk, and that pretty much is the major story of the day that's going on now. So it's not like, and I'm just like, okay, look, I'm going to come out there. I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to do what I do as only I can do it. And we're gonna have I have stories to cover. It's just like not something I would normally make a show about outside of the Signalgate thing, which I told you, I explained to you why. To me, it's like such a silly story. But there is another side to it. There is another side to it which I want to cover for you, which is political backlash and well, actual ramifications for Democrats, in particular one Democrat who might be facing some serious problems as a result of this whole story coming out. And I'm teasing that for now. We're gonna hold that. We have to hold something, right? I gotta hold something. Otherwise, this sound we'll be hearing across America is click, 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 click. I can't. I gotta tease that. I gotta tease that. That's what we're doing. I'm sorry. I'm such a tease. Good. Yeah. Definitely holding that back. That's what we're doing. There are I actually have some videos I wanted to share with you all, which I'm like, yeah, this is something I should share with my audience. This is something I that they need to see. This is something they need to know about. They need to hear explained to them. And if I see something that I think is well done, I'm like, yeah, okay. All right. I'm probably going to end up having a call in at some point tonight. Not going to kid you. And I'm going to be doing some clips of the grandstanding from today. We'll be doing some clips. I want to point out to you how bland the news is. Okay. We're going to do the news. Let's go around X and see what the big news of the day is. Let's do that. Okay. We're going to start with sharing with you the news of the day. Okay. Here we go. All right. You ready? Crockett's Hot Wheels remarks sparks debate on ableism versus politics. All right, this is actually something I have a story about. This one I actually have a link about. Where is it? Where are you? Hold on. I definitely have a link on this one. Where? Disturbance at DFW. Women undresses in airport terminal. Ooh. Lunatic woman takes her clothing off in public. Ooh. Mark your calendar. That's never happened before. This is the whole Signalgate thing. They're calling it Signalgate because there was a chat on the app Signal, and that was that Jeffrey Goldberg, the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic, was accidentally incorporated in. Trump orders the release of Crossfire Hurricane files. Okay, all right. Let's start with Crockett's Hot Wheels remark. Let's see what we got here. What we got? Anything good? All right. Here, this is what she said that got everyone so outraged. She's a freaking lunatic though. So like, lunatic doing lunatic things. This is listen to this. This sicko.
Because we in these hot ass Texas streets, honey. Y'all know we got Governor Hot Wheels down there. Come on now.
Governor Hot Wheels. That's what she's calling him. If you're unfamiliar with Governor Abbott in Texas, you may not be familiar with his backstory. Until I saw this news story, I wasn't familiar with this. That Governor Abbott has been in a wheelchair since, I think, 1986, when he had a catastrophic accident and lost the use of his legs. So this vile machshefa is referring to him as Governor Hot Wheels.
And the only thing hot about him is that he is a hot ass mess, honey. So yes.
Speak for yourself, tarantula eyelash girl. Gosh, unbelievable. This woman is sick. We are mostly not a cult. You could cover that video I sent you. I could. I didn't look at it though. I meant to, but didn't. Biden killed full family, then blamed for Abbygate. Yeah. I mean, Abbygate is what I was referring to earlier with him killing 13 soldiers. Never show your hand this early in the game, right? Especially if your palms are sweaty. So there you go. That's her comment. Okay. The whole internet was a buzz with her what they call ableism, which honestly, personally, I'll be real with y'all. I don't care. If she's making fun of him being crippled. Okay. It's like it reflects poorly on her. Is this like some sort of like travesty? Is this really the poorest? Is this the worst look Jasmine Crockett has ever had or will have like over the next 3 months? No, far from it. So Jasmine Crockett, who 4% of the Democratic Party believes is the leader of the Democratic Party, acting like a complete lunatic. So, like the coward she is, this is how she explains it away. I wasn't thinking about the governor's condition. No. I was thinking about the planes, trains, and automobiles he used to transfer migrants into communities led by black mayors, liberally stoking tensions and fear amongst the most vulnerable. Yes, that's a lot. Everyone thinks of Hot Wheels for that. Everyone does. Not at all the wheelchair he's continually using. They call him Governor Hot Wheels because of the planes, trains, and automobiles. You're such a coward. Lady, you are such a friggin' coward. Just own it. Own it. Stop being such a coward. Just own it. Just say, yeah, you know what? I made a joke about the fact that he's crippled because, I think that he's a jerk. Own it. Literally, the next line I said was, what a hot mess. How does that referencing his terrible policies? Oh, yeah, that's what it was referencing. Yeah, totally, that's what it's referencing. At no point did I mention or allude to his condition, so I'm even more appalled that the very people who unequivocally support Trump, a man known for racially insensitive nicknames and mocking those with disabilities, are now outraged. You're so full of crap. You're a coward. You are the ultimate coward because you basically are too afraid to admit what you're saying there. That's what you are. You're a sad little woman. A sad little woman. Speaker Mike Johnson came out. Outrageous remarks by Representative Crockett are shameful, completely out of line. All these people coming out against Jasmine Crockett, and she's too big a coward to come out for. What's this guy? What's
up, Jasmine Crockett? TJ Pearson here. On behalf of the black community, can you do me a favor? Can you shut the hell up? No, seriously, I'm genuinely asking. Can you shut the hell up? Because every single time you open up your mouth, you set black people back at least 10,000 steps.
This week she said she called for her birthday that something bad should happen to Elon, and also said that someone's got to punch Ted Cruz in the face. This is the week she's been having. Don't tell me it's not intentional. Of course it's intentional. She's too big a coward to admit it.
At least 10,000 steps. And what's so offensive about you is that the Democrat Party thinks that you are the type of person that can convince black people to do anything. They trot out some ghetto Barbie who uses bad grammar, acts a little hood, gets a little ratchet, that all the black people are just going to listen to everything you say. Everything you say. And I got to say, I knew the Democrats were pretty damn racist, being the party of the KKK and all, but I didn't know that they were this damn racist. I didn't. They truly had me fooled. And so every time I see them...
I don't even know how this is racist. I mean, what, because she's an embarrassment to black people? All right. Matt Walsh saying, not remarkable, trashy ghetto dimwit like Jasmine Crockett would make fun of disabled people. What's revealing is that the crowd, the Human Rights Campaign, loudly applauded everything you need to know about leftist human rights groups. It is the human rights. It's pretty funny that she's speaking big human rights campaign. Sickos. They're so transparently empty. Well, this sounds...
Imagine you're in middle school and you have a fellow student in your class who acts like Jasmine Crockett. In the past 24 hours, this woman called for Elon Musk to be, quote unquote, taken out. That's a threat. Okay. That's essentially a death threat. Then she scratches a reporter in the Capitol Hill. All right. I mean, this is Charles Downs. He's a reporter for Laura Loomer. She scratches him. His hands have scratches on them from those long nails of hers that she puts on to act like she's Cardi B. And then she goes to the Human Rights Council. She's standing there with human rights behind her and says, Governor Abbott is a hot ass mess and he's Governor Hot Wheels. Governor Hot Wheels. Governor Abbott.
Now, Grifty's telling me here that that's how he's referred to affectionately for years. So that really does change the context of her comment. Not going to kid you. It does. It changes it.
Abbott had an accident about 40 years ago where a tree fell and snapped his spine, okay? Governor Abbott is a disabled man who stays in a wheelchair because he cannot walk. And this woman calls him Governor Hot Wheels. Jasmine Crockett acts like she is Glorilla or Ice Spice or Cardi B or Megan Thee Stallion. She's none of the above. She's really an Ivy League educated woman.
She really is.
Okay, she's
Ivy League. Oh, she's Ivy League. No way. No. Oh my God, that's an embarrassment to the Ivy. Let me see. I gotta see. Now I gotta see her education. She really. Good golly. Let me see her wiki page. Rhodes College. That's Ivy League. Private liberal arts college in Memphis, Tennessee. All right, I wouldn't call that. I wouldn't refer to that as Ivy League. Ivy League, I think of those traditional. Maybe, I don't know. It's been around since 1848. You guys think Rhodes College is Ivy League? Oh, let me see a ranking for this school. Average class size is only 14. 10 to 1 student to faculty ratio. Oh, wow. All right. I take it back. Rhodes College is considered Ivy League. You tell me that in all these categories, it ranks top 20. Although, I mean, beautiful campus, okay, fine. I guess that's a sign of being wealthy. Best quality of life, best career services. They don't have like best education. She's got to be a DEI applicant. That's what it is. That's the only explanation. She's so stupid.
Lawyer. She's very intelligent theoretically, right?
She's a lawyer too? What? She's a lawyer? Oh, now I gotta see what law school she went to. I'm getting more and more outraged here. I'm getting more and more outraged. University of Houston Law Center, graduated in 2006. God, where are they ranked? 68th best law school. All right. So what is that? That's third tier? You're basically watching me cover. This is how I'm covering the news. Let's see what else we got.
She is not who she's acting as. She's acting this way because she's trying to bring in a coalition of people that don't vote normally to look at the Democrat Party and say, yes, queen. No, Jasmine
I'm learning way
Crockett,
too much about Jasmine Crockett.
You are queen of the
I don't
ghetto.
need to know this much
And
about
here's
her.
the thing. You're not even. You're a poser. You're a fake. You're a fraud. You're a phony. And you think you're going to get away with this. You think that you can continue to act this way and not get censured or...
You want me to check you? I'll do it right now. I'll do it right now. I don't see it here. Maybe it didn't pop yet. There you go. Wait. What? I don't know what you can see this is. All right. Let me get back. Let me get back. Let me get back. I'm getting all confused. Makes her excuse even worse if he's known as that. That she starts making that up. It does make her excuse worse. She dared Pambandi to come after her for her threats. I don't think that she did anything criminal. Taking Elon out, you're not going to. I don't want that to be a criminal offense. I want that to be freedom of speech. You sent me earlier her assault reporter. Her assaulting reporter. Let's see what you sent me here.
Hello, Congresswoman.
Horse manure. Well, that sounds like fun.
Wait, Congresswoman Crockett.
But it sounds.
Congresswoman Crockett, you were recently on a Tesla takedown call calling for violence on the 29th. Would you like to clarify your comments?
As you can see.
Congresswoman, will you condone violence at the Tesla?
What the hell? She like sucker punched him, that cameraman.
Will you condone violence at the Tesla?
Yeah. Is that assault? Technically. Yeah. I've never heard anyone affectionately call Governor Abbott that. I've been voting for him since he started running for Attorney General in Texas. Never for 19 months. Just on. See, this is a person who's obviously got tremendous personal growth. Well done. Well done indeed. Heaven comment because he didn't defend Jeff Younger. Heaven comment because he didn't. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. Let's get back into covering this. And that's the story with Jasmine Crockett. All right. We covered Jasmine Crockett. I think that's good enough. What else I was covering the news? Let's go back and get back into the news here. So we've covered Crockett. We're good there, right? All right. Disturbance: a woman undresses in airport terminal. It's a family show. Go look that up yourself. We'll come back to Trump admin's Yemen war plan text mishap. Let's cover the Crossfire hurricane files. Let's do that. Let's do that. President Donald Trump has issued a directive for the declassification of all FBI files associated with Crossfire hurricane investigation. That was the investigation into him with the whole Russia hoax. The action aims to bring transparency to the scrutiny of alleged Russian collusion with the Trump campaign in 2016. The move has elicited varied reactions, with some viewing as revealing political biases, while others see it as an act of political retribution. What's political biases? That you were so evil to him? Let's see this little clip here of him declassifying Operation Crossfire Hurricane.
Presidential memorandum for your attention. This memorandum requires the immediate declassification of all FBI files relating to the Crossfire Hurricane investigation. This was obviously one of the instances of the weaponization of law enforcement powers of prosecution against you and others.
By the way, Salty Sarge said I should check Jasmine Crockett's early interview. She spoke quite articulately. Now she's gone ball ghetto. Yeah, everything about her is a poser. Nothing about her is legitimate. And from her eyelashes to her accent, nothing about her is legitimate. What? Children getting COVID loans? What is that about? What's that? What's that about? I don't know what that's about. Is that something you want me to cover?
We believe that it's long past time for the American people to have a full and complete understanding of what exactly is in those files.
Which gives the media the right to go in and check it. You probably won't bother because you're not going to like what you see. But this was total.
He's talking to independent media. He's like, go bust that open a little bit further.
Weaponization, it's a disgrace. Should never happen in this country. But now you'll be able to see for yourselves, all declassified. Is that correct?
I pardon you.
All declassified?
Yes, sir.
Everything?
Yeah, I know what I just did.
The FBI file with there's a classified annex, but other than that, we'll put everything in the public eye.
So there you go, declassified.
Is anybody going to look? What about you? You going to look?
A couple people are going to look. Just not legacy media.
And frankly, the FBI should be ashamed of themselves, and so should the Department of Justice, and so should Biden. Okay.
It's really Obama, to be fair. But I guess Biden was part of it. It was really Obama. He set all that in motion. That was early on in his. So that's him. That's him declassifying the Russia collusion hoax and that whole situation.
Presidential memorandum for your attention.
Stop that for a moment. Let's see what else. Some people are saying that Adam Schiff is nervous about this. I don't think he is. Because the declassification isn't something that's going. This leaves one man very nervous. That would be Adam Schiff. If you think Adam should be investigated for treason, leave a thought. See, I think is just, and I like Gunther. I really do. But I think this is just your classic engagement farming, because it being declassified isn't further enabling Pam Bondi to go after him. You don't need Pam Bondi to have. Pam Bondi doesn't need declassified in order to go through the FBI files. So yeah, this doesn't make Adam Schiff nervous at all. This is just engagement farming, and it works. So, yeah, everyone, all the usual people who we get our information from, whether it's Juanita or it's Gunther or Charlie Kirk or Nick Sorter, Charlie Kirk, DC Drano, they're all covering this over and over again. How many posts are there from him on this? I don't understand. 8 hours ago, 7 hours ago. I gotta take notes on how to engagement farm. Laura Loomer. I really do like Colin Ruck a lot. He's a really good source. Benny Johnson. All the usual. I'll bet Brick Suit's down here somewhere also. Mike Davis. basically, but again, this is not lawyer up now. This is not lawyer up now. I'm giving it to you straight. I'm giving it to you straight. This does nothing to put whoever did something illegal in Operation Crossfire Hurricane. They're not any more exposed to legal penalty as a result of this being declassified. Not zero. That's why I'm like, this is not something I can spend a great deal of time talking about. So no. All right. I didn't see this. What do we got here? Trump signs order for election integrity. That sounds interesting. Election integrity is a very big deal to me. Transparency and integrity. Transparency is as important as integrity. So this could be. I seriously haven't seen this yet. Let's check it out. We're gonna you and me together. We're looking at this together. Wait, was there any notes I had to get before? Rhodes is DEIV. This reminds me that I need to have a follower of the month. Now I see you're not a follower because I don't see the little S by your name. I don't think you're a follower. Although Pam doesn't have one either. Does anyone? It's hard for me to tell who's a follower from here. Let me see if I'm curious now. I need to find a follower of the month. We're coming to the end of the month. That was funny though. That was really funny. Week. That's good. That was really funny. Let me see. Why don't I have it here? It's so weird. Normally I see a little S thing. Tonight I'm not seeing it. I don't know why. Not sure what happened. Not seen by anyone's name. Even folks who are clearly members of the following. That's very strange. That's very, very strange. See, I should be saying it. No, I'm not. See, look at this here. Oh, there's the little S. There's the little S. I don't know what's happening. All right. Anyway, bottom line is, let's check out what's going on here. President Donald Trump has signed an executive order aimed at enhancing election integrity. The order mandates proof of U.S. citizenship for voter registration. Instructs the Department of Homeland Security to ensure illegal immigrants are not voting, and sets conditions for states to receive federal election funds based on election security compliance. This is 100% going to be litigated as to whether or not, because, and here are some of the issues that we're going to be dealing with under the Constitution. The power to control your own elections is a plenary power held by the state, not by the federal government. And they are going to basically be arguing, I can guarantee you, states like California and New York are going to be lining up to get rid of this in time for the 2026 election. You can already hear the crazy harpies. I don't have to go and check. I'm sure we'll see as I scroll down here. You saw that this is the first time I'm seeing this story. As I scroll down here, I expect to see the Brian Krasensteins of the world and the other folks screaming about how this is an agenda to try and suppress the vote, because anytime there's anything which might root out corruption in an election, they scream suppress the vote, which is obvious hypocrisy concerning the fact the Democratic Party was basically the source of all racism. So why would we want to suppress the vote? That's kind of stupid. But this move has sparked a debate on its legality and effectiveness, with some praising and promoting fair elections, others criticizing it as an overreach of executive power. Libs of TikTok. Trump has just signed a sweeping election integrity bill. Let's check it out.
Lastly, sir, we have an executive order for your attention on the very important subject of election integrity. We believe that this executive order is the farthest reaching executive action taken in the history of the Republic to secure our elections. Among numerous other aspects of this executive order, This is going to cut down on illegal immigrants on the voter rolls, ensure that the Department of Homeland Security and the data that they have available is being fully weaponized to ensure that illegal immigrants aren't voting. This will include a citizenship question on the federal voting form for the first time. This executive order instructs the EAC to cut federal funding to states that don't take reasonable steps to secure their election. This calls on the Department of Justice to vigorously prosecute election crimes, particularly in states that we don't believe are in compliance with federal law around election integrity. I could go on and on for a while, sir, but the compliance with national election day rules, cracking down and investigating and prosecuting foreign interference in our elections, revoking President Biden's Executive Order 14019, which essentially weaponized government to corrupt and pollute our election process. There's a lot in here, but we believe that these are very important steps that we need to be taking as an administration at your direction to ensure that our elections are as secure as they possibly can be.
Okay, you all understand that? Yes. Election fraud, you've heard the term. We'll end it, hopefully. At least this will go a long way toward ending it. There are other steps that we will be taking in the coming weeks.
This is going to have massive. There's going to be massive litigation about this. I expect to spend a lot of time covering this. This is something to me that is of ultimate importance to our republic. Having, if you're screaming democracy, 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 to the extent you think democracy is a good thing, which, as I've pointed out many a time, it's only a good thing if it's actually bolstered by a sturdy and robust constitution. Otherwise, it is pure evil. But if to the extent that democracy has any potential to be good, it actually has to be a democracy where people are actually voting, not having their ballots watered away by fake ballots purporting to be real that are just quickly counted by election officials who are all too happy to ignore glaring problems and issues with potential ballots. So that's not an election. That's the same thing that Putin does with his elections. And we're really this close to having that situation. Frankly, this is something we need Congress to enact as law. Even then it will be litigated. But I did manage to pull up a copy of this executive order that he signed today. And I do want to take a look at it, and we will in a moment.
And we think we'll be able to end up getting fair elections. Perhaps some people think I shouldn't be complaining because we won in a landslide, but
it shouldn't have to be too big to rig.
Straighten out our election.
We should be able to win a close election without it being stolen.
The fake elections and the bad elections, and we're going to straighten it out one way or the other.
No auto pen there.
And it's an honor to sign this one. To sign all of them, but to sign this one is a great honor.
All right, let's pull open this EO that he is on whitehouse.gov. Preserve and protecting the integrity of American elections. Section 1, we got the purpose, is basically making sure that we have good elections. Pointing out how in India and Brazil, for example, are tying voter identification to a biometric database, while the United States largely relies on self-attestation for citizenship, which is pathetic. In tabulating votes, Germany and Canada require use of paper ballots counted in public by local officials, which substantially reduces the number of disputes as compared to the American patchwork of voting methods that can lead to basic chain of custody problems. But we, the United States, have been utterly failing to enforce basic steps. And they're talking about the importance of free, fair, and honest elections. Under the Constitution, state governments must safeguard American elections in compliance with federal laws to protect Americans' voting rights and guard against dilution by illegal voting. That's exactly the problem. Or discrimination, fraud, and other forms of malfeasance. But we've not adequately been enforcing it. Federal law establishes a uniform election day. So now he's trying to explain that don't think for a moment here that the federal law is not allowed to have some sort of say on how states run their elections. It's policy in my administration to enforce those statutes and require that votes be cast and received by the election date established by law. None of this showing up 4 days later. Like, oh, look at what we got in the mail. All of a sudden, we just have 40,000 new votes. I will never forget or forgive the 2020 election, where Georgia supposedly had 130,000 votes left to count. And they counted for a week after the election ended. That last 103 counted millions on the day of, but it takes us a week to count those 130. And they'd be like, well, so far, since last night, we counted 80,000 votes, and we're down to only 90,000 left. And you're like, wait, and Biden's made up. He's made up 1.5 points. You're like, how the hell? He's 12 points behind. How the hell can he possibly be making this up? And 2 days later, later that day, they're like, okay, so we're down to the last 100,000 votes. We counted 130,000. So where are these votes coming from? No more. Arais. Afuera. As the United States Court of Appeals Fifth Circuit recently held in Republican National Committee versus Wetzel, these statutes set the day by which ballots must be cast by voters and received by state officials, yet numerous states failed to comply. This is like allowing persons who arrive 3 days after election day, perhaps after a winner has been declared to vote in person or form a voting precinct, which would be absurd. Several federal laws, including 18 U.S.C. 1015 and 611, prohibit foreign nationals from registering to vote or voting in federal elections. This is what he has to hang his hat on. How are we supposed to possibly enforce this if we have no idea who's voting? If states are not taking care to know who's voting? This is going to be we're seeing here the building blocks for how he's going to defend this from the inevitable legal attack that this executive order will face very soon. States fail adequately to vet voter citizenship, and in recent years, the DOJ has failed to prioritize, devote sufficient resources for enforcement. Additionally, federal laws such as the National Voter Registration Act and the Help America Vote Act require states to maintain an accurate and current statewide list of all legally registered voters in the state. And the Department of Homeland Security is required to share database information with states upon request so they can fill this duty. Maintaining accurate voter registration lists is a fundamental requirement, and we've seen how some states refuse to clean their voter rolls, refuse to clean them, which is setting up to have fake ballots come in. Having clean and efficient voting rolls is so important. I spent an entire show talking about how the election was stolen in Michigan in 2020, where there was an entire breakdown about how they relied on their inactive and their inactive voters that all of a sudden just suddenly became magically very, very active in numbers that were astonishing and didn't make any sense considering the fact that other swing states like Ohio didn't have nearly the same type of activity. So, and explaining how someone who's acting nefariously could easily cast ballots for folks who never vote. But the key is you need to have those registered voters remain on the ballot list. That's why it's so important to clean off, because that is the first place. If you're looking to steal an election, the very first place you go to is the voting rolls, and you look for the ones who don't regularly vote. Now, it's a little harder, and I never thought about this before. It's probably it probably was trickier for them to steal the 2024 election. And the reason it was probably trickier for them to steal is because let's assume for a moment, I don't know this to be the fact. I don't know this to be the case. I certainly suspect it to be the case. I can't prove it. Let's assume for a moment that in 2020, someone involved in the whole voting process, Dana Nessel, who's overseeing the entire process, Dana Nessel, is willing to act corruptly to try and keep Donald Trump out of office because Dana Nessel, really don't like Donald Trump. Not mentioning any names. I'm just saying, in theory. So in that sense, Gretchen Whitmer and Dana Nessel would have the opportunity to look through the voting rolls and you see, hey, who voted, who hasn't voted, and was registered to vote in the last 3 elections. And you probably could do a search. And you see, 500,000 people, which all of a sudden, large numbers of them can start showing up. You should see 1 million people haven't voted in the last 2-3 elections. Those are your prime targets. Now it's 2024. Now you want to go back and see who hasn't voted in the last 3 elections. Well, you got all these people who voted in 2020. So it could be. I don't know how they would search the databases. You would think that they could set up some sort of algorithm to sort of eliminate the 2020 votes, but it could be. It's trickier for them to find folks who haven't voted or people who actually really have not voted, but it's going to be harder if they voted in the 2020 election because somebody cast a ballot for them. So maybe it was harder for them to steal it. I don't know. Could be that they saw the numbers were so bad that they were like, there's no way we're going to get away with it this time. That's another theory. I want to get back into this. I want to just catch up on a couple of chats here. Elon dropped the receipts today. Did he? That was really weird. That was really weird. That was bizarre. I hit a button with my thumb. And then when I tried coming back in here, I had no cam. And it changed my camera to like OBS. I don't know what the hell was happening there. There you go. I'm not dead on YouTube. Let me check. Make sure YouTube's going okay. Make sure YouTube's going okay. Yeah, we're yeah. You guys are too kind. I appreciate you staying with me. I don't know how that happened. Whew. Yeah. You say Elon drop receipts today. If you could send me a link, I'd appreciate it to add the following pro to specifically what you're looking for. Because Elon tweets, he tweets like, you know, he's Trump on acid. So if you can just like give me a link so I don't spend like 40 minutes going through the last 3 hours of his tweeting, that would be awesome. That would be really awesome. Do you ever wonder if social media will get bored with all the outrage? I know my eyeballs are exhausted with so much of the rolling. Yeah. That's why I find I don't know. I don't have much to say on this thing. When I find something that I can really sink my teeth into, like this election integrity EO, that to me is something I want to sink my teeth into. But just general talking about stuff because people are talking about it when it's like, okay, all right, it's not my deal. You can make a list of 3 or 4 individuals and we can choose the follower. Ooh, that is an idea. He's talking about the follower of the month. That is an idea. I should have people, I want to see people nominated. DM me the meme of the month. All right, we'll come back to. I'll try to come back to that. I'll definitely try to come back to that. Whoa. All right, so one person who I was thinking might be follower of the month is this guy. He doesn't talk very much in the chat, but he's definitely a very dedicated follower. He goes by the name Century Bro. Thank you so much, brother. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Definitely puts you in the running. People who drop red chats on me, I have to at least put them in the running, right? I mean, especially like he doesn't. This is the I'll make the case for Century Bro to be follower of the month. A lot of folks, like, understandably, will drop a big super chat when they have something that they really are hoping you're going to invest a lot of time in. And Century Bro is like, no, here's a tip. I appreciate your work. Here's a tip, like a very generous tip. So this is like, you know, very unexpected. And thank you. So to me, there's a certain sign. Anyways, that's a sign of class. So thank you very, very much. I'll give you another one of these just because you left. So if you're thinking about follower of the month, I think we have a very serious contender right there. Very serious contender. Let me just make sure I didn't miss anything. Salty Sarge says, should the corruption uncovered be used to prosecute, to be used to governor? Meet the new boss, same as the old boss. Should the corruption uncovered be used to prosecute or be used to governor? Meet the new boss, same as the old boss. I think you were talking about something I was covering earlier. Still not sure what it was, though, so I'm a little torn. I'm sorry, Salty. I'm sorry. I can't help you out on that. I can. I wish I could. I can. All right. Getting back into Trump's EO here on election integrity. Federal Law 52 U.S.C. 30121 prohibits foreign nationals from participating in federal, state, or local elections. Again, this implies that there's got to be some sort of oversight that the federal government has capacity to have. Otherwise, how could they enforce this law? They must have some sort of oversight. And this is what Pam Bondi and the attorneys for not really Pam Bondi, because the DOJ is more a criminal thing. This is something that the government attorneys are going to be putting out there to try and establish the legitimacy of this EO. Now, whether it can be, you certainly don't want it to be just an EO, because this is something that should really be it should not just be a statute. This should be in our Constitution. This should be an amendment. That's how significant this is. This should be an amendment. It's an embarrassment to all of the Democrats who are going to vote against this. But this should be an amendment. This should be such an intrinsic part of our Constitution. Otherwise, without it, we don't have any sort of democratic element to our Constitution. Above all, elections must be honest and worthy of public trust. That requires voting methods that produce a voter verifiable paper record, allowing voters to efficiently check their votes to protect it against fraud and mistake. Election integrity standards must be modified accordingly. Policy administration to enforce federal law and then protect the integrity of our election process. I'm waiting for MTG, Massey, or Hawley come forward, put this in just take this and make it a bill. Make it a bill. This there's no reason this shouldn't. There's no. It's an embarrassment to say no to this. Enforcing the citizenship requirement for federal elections. To enforce the federal prohibition of foreign nationals voting in federal elections, within 30 days of the date of this order, the Election Assistance Commission shall take appropriate action to require its national mail voter registration form issued under 52 U.S.C. 20508. Documentary proof of the United States citizenship consistent with 52 U.S.C. 20508. What was this again? 20508. Let me make sure I got this one. It must have references about this. You did it? I don't see that. What do you say? It's 52 B3. May not include any requirement or notarization for other formal and what am I missing here? That's not that. Oh, so that you have to put in there under that since 52 USC 20508 says that when you send mail voter registration form, you cannot include any requirement for notarization or other formal authentication. So finding some way around that to ensure that they're actually citizens, document themselves as citizens while still complying with this section here, saying that when you have people register to vote, that they're not going to be, you can't require them to notarize or have any other formal authentication. The state or local official record on the form of the type document that the applicant presented as documentary proof, citizenship, including date of documents issuance, date of documents expiration, the office that issued the document, and any unique identification number associated with the documents. This way we'll be able to keep track of how they put in their proof in here. For purposes of subsection A of the section, documentary proof of the United States citizenship shall include a copy of a U.S. passport, an identification document compliant with the requirements of the Real ID Act of 2005, an official military identification card that indicates the applicant is a citizen of the United States, or a valid federal or state government issued photo ID if such identification indicates the applicant is a United States citizen. To identify unqualified voters registered in the states, the Secretary of Homeland Security shall ensure that the state and local officials have, with the requirements of the payment of a fee, access to appropriate systems for verifying the citizenship or immigration status of individuals registering to vote or who are already registered. Secretary of State shall take all lawful and appropriate actions to make available information from relevant databases to state and local election officials. He's serious about cleaning this up. He's going through so many different ways of actually trying to, compliant with law, ensure that you're not getting to that ballot box if you can't establish that you are an American citizen. And kudos to him on this. People love talking about all the stuff that he's done. I'll tell you right now, nothing is more significant than this. Assuming, frankly, that we can get it into a statute. This is a nice roadmap for a statute. It's a nice roadmap for a statute. And shame on Congress if they don't put this forward in the next month. Frankly, it should have been done already. DHS, in coordination with DOJ administrators, shall review each state's publicly available voter registration list and available records. And within 90 days of this order, the Secretary of Homeland Security shall provide the AG complete information on all foreign nationals who have indicated on any immigration form that they have registered or voted in a federal, state, or local election, and shall also take appropriate action to submit relevant state or local election officials such information. Okay. The head of each federal voter registration executive department or agency shall assess citizenship prior to providing a federal voter registration form. The AG shall prioritize enforcement of 18 U.S.C. 611 and 1015 and similar laws that restrict non-citizens. So now he's giving a directive to Pam Bondi to prosecute people who vote illegally. Databases or information maintained by the and through the use of databases or information maintained by DHS or state issue ID, or similar records of related to citizenship. Providing other assistance to states verifying eligibility. I want to get down to where he's going to punish states. Improving the Election Assistance Commission. This is in section 4. I'm not going to go through this line by line because it's just too much here. Prosecuting election crimes to protect the franchise American citizens and the right to participate in fair and honest elections. The AG shall take all appropriate action to enter into information sharing agreements to the maximum extent possible with the chief state election official or multi-member agency of each state. I'm sure the Dana Nessels of the world are going to be very excited to do that. These agreements shall aim to provide the DOJ with detailed information on all suspected violations. Yeah. Registered or voted despite being ineligible or registered multiple times. Committed election fraud. Yeah, we're not going to get this from anyone. We're not going to get this from any of the states that matter. You might get it from Texas, but that's not going to help. That's not going to help. You're not going to get it from Michigan. You're not going to get it from Georgia. Maybe Georgia. Maybe Georgia. You're not going to get it from Minnesota, Wisconsin. You're not going to get it from these Democrat-controlled states. They're going to be fighting really hard on this. And they're going to say, we don't have anyone we suspect. To improve the security of all voting equipment and systems used to cast ballots, tabulate votes, the AG and Secretary of Homeland Security should take all appropriate actions to the extent permitted by 42 U.S.C. 5195C to prevent all non-citizens from being involved in the administration of any federal election, including by accessing election equipment. Okay. To achieve full compliance. This is what I want to see. What are you going to do to achieve compliance? The AG shall take all necessary action to enforce USC 7-3 against states that violate these provisions by including absentee or mail-in ballots received after Election Day in the final tabulation. Consistent with 52 U.S.C. 2101, the Election Assistance Commission shall condition any available funding to a state on that state's compliance with the requirement in 52 U.S.C. 210186 that each state adopt uniform and non-discriminatory standards within that state that define what constitutes a vote and what will be counted as a vote. Okay, so now we start getting to the stuff that's going to start pissing off the Gretchen. If you thought you were pissing off Gretchen Whitmer and Gavin Newsom already, this is the part which is really going to piss them off. Now we're saying that if you don't comply with this EO, you're at risk of losing funding for your elections. And when you talk about yanking away someone's paycheck, we see how the Democrats cry like lunatics and start screaming, "This is democracy! This is Elon, you Doge, and Trump is a crazy orange Batman." They haven't said orange Batman so much recently. So 52 USC 2101-081A6. I want to see what this is. What is that? What is that? What is that? What was it? It was A6. Each voting system used in election of federal office shall meet the following requirements. 6666. Each state shall adopt uniform and non-discriminatory standards that define what constitutes a vote and what will be counted as a vote for each category of voting system used in the state. Okay. So uniformity doesn't mean that they're going to comply with this EO. But so compliance with the requirement that each state adopt uniform and non-discriminatory standards that define what constitutes a vote and we count that as a vote, including that as prescribed in 2 U.S.C. 7 and 3 U.S.C. 1, which they're a citizen. There will be a uniform and non-discriminatory ballot receipt deadline of election day for all methods of voting, excluding ballots cast in accordance with 52 U.S.C. 210301, after which no additional votes may be cast. That's probably referring to military. 52. Let's see what 52 U.S.C. 2301 is. It's a really interesting EO to me. I hope it's interesting to you. These are like, what steps is he taking to ensure? Yeah, see, absent uniform service voters. So if you're late and you're in the military, for that we'll give you a pass. 2 U.S.C. 7 and 3 U.S.C. 1. I have a feeling this is keeping out non-citizens. That's what my guess is. Oh, this is on the time. Let's see, 2 U.S.C. 7. This is also time. Okay. Preventing foreign interference. So this is the section dealing with making sure everyone's voting timely, section 7. Okay. Preventing foreign interference. The Attorney General, in consultation with the Secretary of Treasury, shall prioritize enforcement of 52 U.S.C. 30121 and other appropriate laws to prevent foreign nationals from contributing or donating to U.S. elections. Okay. The AG shall likewise prioritize enforcement. But there isn't here any penalty that he lists for failure to take proper steps, unless I missed it here. That you take proper steps to keep out non-citizens. That's what I really want to see. He has financial penalties of we're going to pull your funding for elections if you fail to ensure that you're getting your votes timely. But he doesn't have here, what I see, anything saying that if you fail to ensure that they are citizens, we're going to pull your funding. That's what I understood from the blurb to be saying. The heads of all agencies shall cease all agency actions implementing Executive Order 1419 on March 7, 2021, promoting access to voting, which was revoked by executives, revoking what Biden put in. And within 90 days, submit to the President through the Assistant of the President of Domestic Policy a report describing compliance with this order. And then severability. And this is boilerplate language he has here at the end. I don't see here where he's financially penalizing states that fail to ensure that they are having only U.S. citizens vote in elections. I wonder why. You would think that seems to be something that's glaring. Why would that not be in here? I don't know. I can't explain it unless he was afraid that it would get knocked out. I don't know. I don't know. It's a good first step, but what happens if they ignore you? What happens if the states ignore you about taking care of ensuring that they're only citizens? It doesn't imply that there's, as far as I read, anything saying that there's a financial repercussion to the states that do that. And frankly, that's the only way you're going to ensure compliance. Trump's plan: if you're not a citizen, if you vote or attempt to vote is illegal, that's a crime. Instant deportation. There's Trump's compliance. Yeah. he's not going to be there. He's not going to be there in 5 years to ensure our elections are any good. That's the biggest problem. That's the biggest problem here. That's the biggest problem. It's nice to set up the next 4 years, but that's only the next 2 elections. That's not going to do any. That's not going to help us in 2029 and beyond, unless Vance wins, or some other Republican wins. But as soon as the Democrats get control of the House, we know we're going to have a problem with that again, right? And you have to plan for that day. That horrific day is likely to come again. That day of doom, although the Democratic Party looks like it's in such deep shambles that it does seem very far away. All right. That was a good story to stumble onto. All right. Seoul sinkhole claims motorcyclist's life. Okay. All right, this looks like it might be weird. Whoa. 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 This is God. That guy, the car in front of him, is so lucky. That's God saying it's your time. There's nothing that's God saying no, you now. That's what this is. God. The guy, how deep is that sinkhole? Now I want to find out. Now you see. They baited me, and it worked. How deep is that sinkhole? "17-hour search, 20-meter wide sinkhole. How deep is it? How does it take 18 hours to find the guy?" Wow, look how massive that is. "65 wide sinkhole. How deep?" They say 20-meter deep. It's 20-meter deep or 20 meters wide. That is terrifying. Wow. That's crazy. Oh my God. Okay, then I understand why it would take them hours. Wow. That's horrible. Mercy on his soul. No jokes. It was his soul. He should remove non-citizens from the census now. Yeah. Oh, from the census. So this is an interesting thing. I happen to agree with that. I just don't know if that's by statute. It's probably by statute. I don't know that he can conflict with a statute. Ballot box stuffing is far worse. Also, non-citizens, but ballot box stuffing comes with they use some registered voter. That's what we're talking about, cleaning up the voting rolls. Also, non-citizens do have voting power. The Electoral College vote backed by warm body count, not eligible voters. You say that's what he's talking about as far as the census. That's what he's talking about. That New York gets more people, gets more electoral power because of this ridiculous census. What they're explaining, I should clarify what some of these super chats are talking about here. In case you're unaware of it, the census that they take every 10 years does not count American citizens. It counts warm bodies, irrespective of their citizenship status. When we apportion how many electoral votes states gets, we use that census. So if New York has 5 million illegal aliens roaming around, their electoral college count gets buffered. And even though they don't have whatever number of citizens they have in New York, I don't know, let's say 30 million citizens in New York. If there's 5 million of them are illegal aliens, that bumps them up by an extra few seats in the House. So that's why Dick Parker here is calling for them to be. I see what you did. It used to be Richard. His name. Oh, that's funny. I just first noticed it now. This came up last week, I think, right? Or 2 weeks ago. I was talking about how the name Richard sometimes has a shortened version of it. Richard Parker here. It's a great name. It's a great name. I'm sorry, I'm a kid. Yeah, so there you go. There you go. That's why he's saying we need to get them off the census. And I agree with him wholeheartedly on that. Wholeheartedly. We don't take a census during the current administration's term, though. So an EO from Trump wouldn't do anything on that. Because you need that to happen by someone who's in control in 2 administrations from now. So, all right. So we got the sinkhole. What else we got going on in the news here? Vance's Greenland visit sparks international debate. JD and his wife Usha plan to visit Greenland this Friday. The visit described Trump as a gesture of friendship aims to assess security on the Northwest coast involving Space Force Guardians. Despite this, the trip has stirred controversy as it lacks an official invitation from Greenland. Ooh. With local politicians public expressing opposition seen as an aggressive diplomatic move. They probably each got like $50 from Soros.
President, and there was so much. Hey guys, it's Shady Vance, the vice president, and there was so much excitement around Usha's visit to Greenland this Friday that I decided that I didn't want her to have all that fun by herself, and so I'm going to join her. I'm going to visit some of our guardians in the Space Force on the northwest coast of Greenland, and also just check out what's going on with the security there of Greenland. As you know, it's really important. A lot of other countries have threatened Greenland, have threatened to use its territories and its waterways to threaten the United States, to threaten Canada, and of course to threaten the people of Greenland. So we're going to check out how things are going there. And I say that speaking for President Trump, we want to reinvigorate the security of the people of Greenland because we think it's important to protecting the security of the entire world. Unfortunately, leaders in both America and in Denmark, I think, ignored Greenland for far too long. That's been bad for Greenland. It's also been bad for the security of the entire world. We think we can take things in a different direction. So I'm going to go check it out. Hey, guys, it's Shady Vance, the vice president.
There you go. So he's heading on down there. Some people are unhappy about it. It's the usual suspects like this loser. So there you go. We're not happy about it. All right. Not really international debate. All right. This is a legal sounding thing. I should cover this, I guess, right? I should. I guess. All right, fine. I'll look at this one. I know that there's this big election everyone's talking about for the Wisconsin Supreme Court between Brad Schimmel and Susan Crawford. Schimmel here is the Republican, and Susan Crawford is supposedly some crazy leftist. Both candidates are backed by significant financial support, with Elon contributing heavily to Schimmel, while Crawford receives endorsements and funding from prominent Democratic figures like Barack Obama and Eric Holder. I know Eric Holder is considered prominent, but I guess he is. The election has attracted national attention to its implications on issues like redistricting, abortion, and voting laws. Folks, if you live in Wisconsin or have friends or family that do, there's an important Supreme Court race happening right now. There's only one candidate ready to protect the fundamental rights and freedoms of Wisconsinites. Good Lord. Elon Musk retweeting Donald Trump saying the great state of Wisconsin, a radical left Democrat. See the difference in tone? Radical left Democrat, one who's insistent on bringing hardened criminals that we removed to faraway places back into our country, allowing men into women's sports, open borders, and more, is running against a strong common sense Republican. Just call him Brad for the Wisconsin. I don't like the name Skimmel or Schimmel. I'm not sure if it's pronounced like a K or not. We're just gonna call him Brad for the Wisconsin Supreme Court. It's a really big and important race and could have much to do with the future of our country. Get out and vote now for the Republican candidate, Brad. Get out and vote now for the Republican candidate, Brad. This is insane. If the Liberal wins in Wisconsin next Tuesday, she'll remove 2 GOP congressional districts. Wisconsin Supreme Court candidate Brad Skimmel. I don't even know. Maybe we'll hear now if it's Skimmel or Schimmel. Let's hear. This is Brad.
Angle Judge, great to have you on. Why does this race matter so much?
Little did I know when I got into this race 16 months ago that we were going to be called the most important race in America in 2025. And little did I know that we'd shatter the record of $56 million spent 2 years ago on the last Supreme Court race. Now it's expected to go over $100 million on a court race in Wisconsin. The reason why my opponent got caught by the New York Times, a month and a half ago or so, getting on a Zoom call with our state Democratic Party chair and billionaire leftist donor Reid Hoffman, promising that if she got elected on the court, they would turn 2 Republican congressional seats into Democrat congressional seats. Now, just yesterday, the minority leader in our state, in our House of Representatives, Hakeem Jeffries, got caught saying the quiet thing out loud, also repeating that same promise that we've got to get her on the court, and then the court will take over the role of the legislature and gerrymander out 2 Republican congressmen.
Wow. Basically change the House. 2 more. That's a swap of 4 potentially in the next election. When is that race? Now I'm actually curious about this race. Now I understand why it's a big deal. 80% of Susan Crawford's donors are from outside Wisconsin. They expect to deliver them congressional seats. Brad Skimmel, I'm going with Skimmel, is backed by Wisconsin farmers, law enforcement, hunters, and small business leaders. He's running to save us, and Elon. And Elon. He's running to save our Supreme Court. It's not the Supreme Court. It's save our seats in the House. Okay. 7 days left until we get Team Skimmel in office. Go get him, Sadie. Go get him, Sadie Roach.
Sign, like I told. Hey, folks, your old pal Chicago Ray checking in front of a Brad Schimmel sign. Like I told you, that's all I've been seeing up here.
Well,
I'm in Clinton, Wisconsin right now. Just did a delivery down the street. You folks got to vote for Brad Schimmel, okay, for state Supreme Court here. You don't want what's going on in my state. You don't want Illinois up here. Trust me. So get them in there. Vote for Brad Schimmel. Okay. Do the right thing. Go to the polls today. Everybody.
Compelling.
All MAGA. Okay. Let's go. All right. This is a good state you guys got here. Don't turn into Illinois. Trust me. You don't want none of that. So let's get it done. Scott Pressler's been up here busting his ass. Let's get it done.
True.
All right. Chicago Ray.
All right. There's that. I think that was Chicago Ray letting us know what's going on there. So that's a good story to cover. That's a pretty big. That's a bigger deal than I realized. We talked a little bit about Harry Sisson. Democratic influencer Harry Sisson faces allegations of misconduct involving inappropriate interactions with women. A claim circulating that Sisson has been dropped by Pallet Management, an agency sometimes referred to as being affiliated with the DNC. Through this connection, those connection remains unverified. Situation has sparked significant discussion on social media, with various influencers distancing themselves from Sisson. We saw different videos about how they were fleeing, like saying, hey, he's not really my friend. I don't really like him. Harry Sisson. Stupid Biden Harris. Dropping the Biden, and I don't know how people know he was dropped if we can't verify that he was actually ever part of it. Man, things are not going well for Harry. Things are not going well for this young man. Not having a good week. Not having a good week at all. Couldn't happen to a slimier person. So I guess when punks get their comeuppance, the internet celebrates. In case you're unfamiliar, Harry Sisson is a social media influencer for the left. He's very active in basically reframing things in the most bizarre ways possible. He was exposed that he basically was stringing along, by count, 11 or 12 different young women, and basically making them feel like they had some sort of special connection, while he kept them all in the dark about each other. And one by one, they started coming out saying, I thought he was my man. I thought he was my man. And that they basically have formed this alliance against him. So this guy who's continually standing up for women's rights was basically treating women like his toys. That's essentially why the internet is particularly enjoying the hypocrisy. And one by one, he and his other bandmates, and by bandmates, I mean other Democratic social media influencers, which there are 4 of them. One of them is Chris Mowry, who I think also supposedly is in some sort of trouble, but not nearly as bad. But that was like his bestie, his ride or die. Their videos of them dancing when they see, like, good news for Democrats, because they're very in touch with what the young kids like. So yeah, it's not been a good week for them. Not been a good week. I wish him well and lots of therapy. So, from actual therapists, not from the DSM-5 crazies who basically healthy therapy, good productive therapy, not the wasteful crap that they have that passes for therapy today. I wish him a time machine so he can go back in time and get good therapy. That's what I wish for you, Harry. I wish for you a time machine so you can go back in time and get good therapy. Because you go into a therapist today, and the next thing you know, he'll be changing his name to Harriet, and that's not going to make him happy. That's just my thought on it. The census counts all people, including non-citizen children, etc. That all figures into the 11 plus 12 EVs moving right to the 2032 election. Count everybody's citizen-only apportionments. Yeah, but you have to get it done by people who are doing the census. Maybe they do it in 28. They really might do it like early, like a couple of years in advance. Like they probably start counting. But during Trump's first term, he fought to get a question on the census to ask if they were a citizen or not, and he lost. Yeah, it's a hard battle. Heard the best slip up on the Tesla dealership attacks when someone said people were throwing Mazel Tov. God. Mazel tov cocktails. L'chaim. Oh my God, that's funny. Mazel tov cocktails. Pronounced like shimmel. All right. Representative Jasmine Crap. I don't know how you got that out. I saw the journal on video. I got that. We got that, Janelle Arello. I live in Wisconsin. It's a war zone here over this election. Watch you often, just not a huge chatter most times. I enjoy your show. Dems are mad. Well, thank you, Vinyl. Good to see you. Good to see you. Welcome to the chatting community, the chatting portion of our show. Thank you for checking in, brother. Or sister. Vinyl pilled. I don't know. All right. You. Thanks for checking in. You. Well, thank you. That part I meant sincerely. Aries Sissy. Sisson and Biden just look for something to sniff. You can do better. I've seen you do better. Joe, check out Chicago Ray about Jasmine Crockett's financial disclosures versus net worth. I did have something on that. I saw that. We're going to get to $9 million. That right? You see, I did see it. Let me see if I can dig that up. I don't think I saved it. But I do think I was thinking about it. I was like on the fence. Should I save this thing? Should I not? And it was early in the morning, and I was like, I can find better than this. You say it was Chicago, right? Let me take out Chicago right from the search and see if we got it. This is me searching for it. We can do better than this.
Jasmine Crockett, bring your goofy ass up here because you got the nerve to go on TV and say that the United States is not in the business of handing out money, but the USAID was handing out money nonstop. It's okay when y'all do it, but when Trump do it, it's a problem. And then there's another bone to pick with you. Come on, ghetto Jasmine Crockett, bring your ass to the front of the congregation once again. All right, you got the nerve to really throw out in the world the Ebola virus, one case in New York, one case. Watch the fear mongering, people. This is what they do. They're planting the seeds early.
How old is this?
They're planting the seeds early. Pay attention to what
We could. That's not what I was looking for. What is this?
Hey, it's Attorney Jasmine Crockett, your candidate for State Rep in House District 100, and I've got a really important message.
Okay, I don't want to hear her stupid important message.
I'll make sure that I keep it short, but I am truly here for very selfish reasons. Starting with on March 29th, it's my birthday. And all I want to see happen on my birthday is for Elon to be taken down. Yes, I'll make sure that I keep.
I don't know what the hell that means, taking down. But maybe this.
What's the saying? Even a hit dog a holler? Well, birth. These dogs are hollering, boy. Doge is putting in work, baby. Let's get into it. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett has a reported net worth of $9 million despite being paid $174,000. She's been yelling a whole lot lately. Jasmine Crockett owns $2 million townhouse in Dallas, $1.5 million loft in Austin, Texas, $1.5 million lakefront cabin in Galveston, Texas. Crockett's net worth grew substantially last year during the 2024 election. Do you think members of Congress use their positions to self-enrich themselves? Hell yes. So if you see all these politicians yelling and talking about let's go to war in the streets, let's go ahead and do a deep dive on them. Jasmine Crockett, your days are number 2. You yelling a whole lot.
That's where I saw it. It was Officer Tatum. That's where I saw it. I definitely saw it. Officer Tatum. That was it. I didn't see Chicago Ray. I saw Officer Tatum talking about.
Let's go to Jasmine Crockett real quick, who's a complete mindless woman. One thing you can't be is ghetto and mindless. If you're gonna be ghetto, you got to be smart. And this is specifically, because I'm gonna go through this before we play the clip. This is specifically to Jeremy that sent me a inbox, and you know I'm talking about you. You gave all that rant and riff.
All right, Jeremy, listen up, Jeremy. I'm talking to you, Jeremy. I love when they call people out by their first name.
And raving, she's smart. She went to a university. She got her own law firm. Let's talk about some numbers. Let's talk about some financial disclosures. Now, her law firm, Crockett Law Firm PLLC, filed $26,000 of earnings and $14,000 of earnings the year before. What kind of law firm are you running that you made $26,000? For those of you who know anything about lawyers,
you don't have a law firm. If you had 26, you don't have a law firm. You don't have a law firm.
And family law is probably the worst. And I don't know what law she's practicing, but I don't even want to tell you how much I paid. I paid almost $100,000. I'm still mad in a custody case that I had where there was no dispute other than money. Some people go all out for money. They want money. Almost $100,000. That's just me. And I don't know how much she paid. So that's 2 people that paid well over $100,000. Ma'am, you don't have 2 clients that you represent in anything? $26,000 is I don't know what to call that. It's probably laundering a little bit of money through that thing. She definitely ain't got a real practice that's bringing in any real business. But the real question is, before I play this video, is that where does she get her money from? I want to put this in context before y'all hear this fool talk about Elon Musk and crooked stuff and all that. How did you make your money for real, Miss Crockett? Because last time I checked, your salary is $174,000 as a House of Representative, which is the standard salary. It's estimated her net worth is $9 million from real estate and stock investments. And where does her stock investment portfolio? Because we got the financial disclosure right here. What is her investments in? An energy company, MGM Resort, and Moderna. How did she somehow become so successful in this? Somebody say insider trading. I would argue that she's probably doing.
Even insider trading couldn't do it. Insider trading would triple her money. 10 times her money. You're still talking $1 million, not 9. It doesn't make any sense. It does not make any sense at all. Nothing about this makes sense. It usually takes most Congress people years before they can start accumulating millions. She's fresh off the avocado boat. This doesn't make no sense.
Doing a heck of a lot of insider trading, if you ask me. You look at her state income tax, or state salary. She filed $2,400, and the year before that, $55,000. She ain't making no money in any other earnings that we know of, other than being a House of Representative. But then somehow she worth $8 million from stocks. And you go look at all of these House of Representatives, look at all of these people in Congress that are worth exponentially more money than when they started. What do they all got? Investment in day trading, and I mean not day trading, but putting that stuff in the market. Probably
you can only take you have to live on at least half of it. Some of it's going to taxes. So it's not possible. It's not. That's beyond insider trading. That is beyond insider trading. I don't care if she invested in Moderna before COVID. Okay. And she put every penny she had into it before COVID. It didn't go up 9 times. in value. And she didn't have $1 million to put it. How the hell did she do this? There has to be something illegal happening here. Almost certainly having to do with her campaign donations. Almost certainly. Almost certainly. This does not seem like a hard find. I'll tell you right now, I think she's potentially in serious trouble. That is way too significant a growth in way too short a time. Something is rotten in Denmark. Something is rotten in Dallas, which is her district. Something's rotten in Dallas, that's for sure. All right. Did we cover all the news? Did we got through the news already? Are we done with that? Should we start getting in on? We should start getting in on the. Let's start getting in on the main thing here. The main thing here. I promised you all at the outset here. I promised you. What I said, what I would do is, I said I'm gonna tell you. I'm going to tell you why some people might be in trouble. But before we get into that, let's talk about the Yemen war mishap and some of these videos here. I did a search for just hearing highlights because I'm not spending 2 hours watching this. I'm not. It's all grandstanding. I'm not doing it. And though I would love to watch Kash Patel answering questions, he didn't even seem to be in the loop there. It's the only possible explanation. It's the only possible thing to me. Because that's where else is she getting? Where else is she getting some sort of access to that kind of money? I do think she gets a ton in donations. All right. So no, we're not going through 2 hours of this.
Existential. Communist China is actively working to replace the United States as the world's dominant superpower. China uses coercive military, economic, and influence operations short of war to shape a world favorable to its interests and hostile to ours. These methods include the biggest peacetime military buildup in history. Rapidly expanding
I like
its
Tom
nuclear
Cotton.
forces,
This is Tom
providing
Cotton.
critical assistance to
I
help
like
Russia
him.
withstand U.S. sanctions, obscuring its role in accelerating the spread of COVID-19 beyond Wuhan.
Minority leader
on the committee.
Warning.
And I want to get into that in a moment, but I want to first of all address
We don't want to hear you.
the recent story that is broken in
There we
the
go.
news.
This is him whining and whining.
Yesterday, we stunningly won off.
All right, let's.
It is unfortunately a pattern we're seeing too often repeated.
I'm not saying
overnight.
anything repeated.
Make no mistake.
I want to welcome everyone in our large audience today. I also want to note that we will not tolerate any disruptions of the witnesses' testimony or senators' questions and the witnesses' answers. You'll note that we have a large contingent of Capitol Police in the room. Any disruptions, either opposed or in favor to the witnesses, will result in prompt removal from the hearing room.
Okay.
My encouragement to the U.S. Attorney to throw the book at the person disrupting the hearing. No offense, but we all came to hear the witnesses. No one panel of witnesses.
For the opportunity for us to be here to present you the intelligence community's 2025 annual threat assessment. I'm joined here this morning by my colleagues from the CIA, DIA, FBI, and NSA. Our testimony offers the collective assessment.
So this is just on the Select Committee on Intelligence, where when she gives her assessment and she's drilled about why she wasn't. I saw a clip where she was drilled about why they didn't mention anything about climate change. And frankly, I was a little disappointed in Tulsi in the clip which I shared out on X. I'll share with you. I thought she should have been far more aggressive because they were asking her, why did you not say anything? Why didn't you say anything, including your assessment about climate change? The last 12 years I've been reviewing these reports, there's always something about climate change. And she's like, well, that wasn't my decision. You should have said, because climate change is a hoax. That's what you say. I'll tell you why. Because we're not. We also didn't talk about Emperor Palpatine. There are other things. A lot of things we didn't cover in there. We didn't talk about anyone from Mars coming in and attacking us. We didn't cover that either. So no, we didn't include anything mythical. That's what you say. That's what I wish she said. She doesn't say that, though.
Of the 18 U.S. intelligence elements.
So instead, I'm definitely not doing this. This is too much for me. No. Let's get some shorts here. Just because, why not?
On weapons packages, targets, or timing?
Not that I'm aware of.
What was your question?
Did this conversation at some point include information on weapons packages, targets, or timing?
Not that I'm aware of.
Director Gabbard, same question.
Same answer, and defer to the Department of Defense on that question.
Well, those are two different answers, but you're saying that was not part of the
Personally not aware
conversation.
of it. My knowledge.
The precise operational issues were not part of this conversation.
Correct.
Okay. Did this conversation?
Okay, so there's that.
Did this conversation at some point
Just had that.
include information on weapons packages?
Same thing.
Obviously, my colleagues and I feel very
Obviously.
strongly about the war planning meeting over unclassified phones.
Obviously, he has something that's causing him a grotesque lisp.
Obviously reckless, obviously dangerous, both the mishandling of classified information and the deliberate destruction of federal records are potential crimes that ought to be investigated immediately. And I want to make clear that I'm of the view that there ought to be resignation, starting with the National Security Advisor and the Secretary of Defense.
Yeah. Where were you, Ron Wyden, when 13 soldiers were killed by the incompetence of Biden's military? Where were you on that, doofus? Where were you? Where were you? Let's hear him pressing him on it.
I want to go back to what I addressed at the outset. I mean, this was not only
22
sloppy,
minutes.
it not only violated all procedures,
Really? How so?
but if this information had gotten out, American lives could have been lost.
Oh, so was this what you were screaming when American lives were lost?
The Houthis had this information and could reposition their defensive systems. So I want to get a little more information about
Spare
this.
me your
Director Gabbard,
outrage.
did you participate in the group chat with Secretary of Defense and other Trump senior officials discussing the Yemen war plans?
Senator, I don't want to get into the specifics.
Ma'am, were you on? You're not going to be willing to address. So you're not, are you denying, Matt, will you answer my question, ma'am? You were not TG on this group chat?
I'm not going to get into the specifics.
So you
of the
refuse to
deliberate-
acknowledge whether you were on this group chat?
Senator, I'm not going to get into the specifics.
Why are you going to get into the specifics? Is it because it's all classified?
Because this is currently under review by the National Security
Because it's
Council.
all classified? If it's not classified, share the text now.
As the White House previously
Is it classified or non-classified information on this text?
I can confirm.
Director
Just
Radcliffe,
said we're having an
were you on the
investigation.
group chat?
I just answered your
Senator, I was on a signal messaging group.
So you were the John Ratcliffe on that chat?
I was.
Thank you, thank you.
Can I provide some context, Senator, to that?
Yes, but I've got a series of questions.
Well, but I think it's important because at the outset, you made a couple of comments about signal messaging using encrypted apps. So that we're clear, one of the first things that happened when I was confirmed as CIA director was signal was loaded onto my computer at the CIA, as it is for most CIA officers.
Because that's how we do things, doofus.
One of the things that I was briefed on very early, Senator, was by the CIA records management folks about the use of signal as a permissible work use. It is. That is a practice that preceded the current administration to the Biden administration.
Series of questions.
So if you're whining about signal being used, maybe you should complain to Biden, because we just kept the same thing he had for what's considered sufficiently secure. Now, frankly, between you and me, I'll just point this out. Based on the utter incompetence displayed by the Biden military, which was just humiliating to America in ways that no other military conflict can actually compare, at least going back to our evacuation of Vietnam, because this was probably worse than what happened when we were leaving Vietnam. So So the biggest thing you could take them to task for is how did you see the security bungling and complete ineptitude of the Biden administration's military and how they handled sensitive issues and their poor strategy, and think to yourself, oh my God, we need to, and fail to think to yourself, oh my God, we need to change everything about the way we're running our military. So the only reason his answer is a bad answer is if you're willing to admit that the Biden administration was completely inept and stupid.
If you're making the
point,
if you're making the statement, the signal is a secure channel.
No, can I answer that? It is
I've got a series
end-to-end decryption. So
it is.
finish,
I understand encryption.
It is permissible to use to communicate and coordinate for work purposes, provided, Senator, that any decisions that are made are also recorded through formal channels. Right. So those were procedures that were implemented. My staff implemented those processes, followed those processes, complied with those processes, and finally, just please. So my communications, to be clear, in a signal message group were entirely permissible and lawful and did not include classified information.
Well, we will make that determination, because if it's not classified, share the text with the committee.
No, that's ridiculous. No.
Let me go on. Director Gabbard,
you have
you
no
are
right
the
to
security
it.
executive and set access guidelines for classified information. Did you contact the defense secretary or others after this specific military planning was put out and say, hey, we should be doing this in a SCIF?
There was no classified material that was shared in that.
So then if there was no
check.
classified material, share it with the committee. You can't have it both ways. These are important jobs. This is our national security. Bobbing and weaving and trying to, filibuster your answer. So please answer the question. If this was Director Gabbard, if this was a rank and file intelligence officer who did this kind of careless behavior, what would you do with them?
What part
Senator,
are you
I'll
saying is
reiterate that there
careless?
was no classified material that was shared in that signal.
What part are you saying? You have to sort of specify which part was careless. Is it careless talking over signal? Is it careless that there was someone on there who should not have been on there? That's what you need to clarify. That's what you need to clarify, because they're not willing to. I mean, look, I skipped out his stupid introductory remarks, but I assume it's the latter, because they really established that using signal is actually okay.
Classified materials, share. And then if there's no classified materials, then you can't even answer the question whether you're on the chat. This is strangely familiar, and I think my colleagues.
There's an investigation that's ongoing. That's what she said.
Is Edward Snowden a traitor?
When there's an investigation that's ongoing, so no, we're not going to go disclosing information that might affect our investigation. That's the simplest answer. I want to know who has this journalist on speed dial. Apparently, it's some staffer who worked for Mike Waltz. That's what everyone is saying. It was a staffer. That's what came out, that it was a staffer who works for Mike Waltz who accidentally included Jeffrey Goldberg, who has this guy's contact info, Jeffrey Goldberg.
Man, I have serious doubts about anyway. Director Gabbard, I'm going to give you this. Tweeted just 11 days ago, and I'm quoting you. Any unauthorized release of classified information is a violation of the law and will be treated as such. So if this information is classified, what are you going to do?
Senator, 2 points here. First of all, there's a difference between inadvertent release versus
careless and sloppy,
malicious leaks of classified information. The second point is there was no classified information that was on
the
information
committee should get that information.
And the national security.
No, not while there's an investigation. How many times did Fay Ray deflect from questions he was asked? We're in the middle of investigation. We can't answer that question. We're in the middle of investigation. We can't answer that question. This group here needs to be a lot more familiar with that phrase. We're in the middle of an investigation. Yeah, maybe, probably should be fired. Yeah.
Seconds that the chairman came. Director Patel, has the FBI launched any investigation of this?
Senator, I was just briefed about it late last night, this morning. I don't have an update.
I would like to get an answer by the end of the day.
Well, that's nice. Good for you.
Director Gabbard, I didn't intend to get into the Jeffrey Goldberg story, but something you said has sort of puzzled me. According to open source reporting at 11:44 on the morning of March 15th, Secretary Hegseth put into this group text a detailed operation plan, including targets, the weapons we were going to be using, attack sequences, and timing.
Your first mistake was believing anything that Jeffrey Goldberg ever writes that he doesn't have to verify, because we've seen him claim suckers and losers from Trump. We've seen his 4 unconfirmed sources, which was obviously crap. So your first mistake was actually trusting someone who is like the crappiest, most lacking credibility journalist as a source of information. Because if it's something he has to prove in order to establish veracity, that's the glimmer of truth he manages to throw in, and then he just basically embellishes from there on out. So whatever he says, you're trusting that. You're the idiot, not the people who are answering your question.
And yet you've testified that nothing in that chain was classified. Wouldn't that be classified? What if that had been made public that morning before the attack took place?
Senator, I can attest to the fact that there were no classified or intelligence equities that were included in that chat group at any time.
So,
and I
so the
defer,
attack sequencing and timing and weapons and targets you don't consider should have been classified?
I defer
or were
to the
classified?
Secretary of Defense, the National Security Council on that question.
Well, you're the head of you're the head of the intelligence community, and you're supposed to know about classifications. So your testimony very clearly today is that nothing was in that set of texts that were classified. I'll follow up on Senator Wyden's question. If that's the case, please release that whole text stream so that the public can have a view of what actually transpired on this discussion. It's hard for me.
This is where you say there's an ongoing investigation, and we're not answering any questions till the investigation is concluded. Now, I mentioned to you about Jeffrey Goldberg and what a complete douchebag he is. But it's a good time for me now to share with you how this can blow up in someone's face. And the person whose face this could really blow up in is Jeffrey Goldberg specifically. If we look at 18 U.S.C. 793, Section E thereof, it says, whoever having unauthorized possession of or access to a signal chat or control over any document, writing, code, book, signal book, sketch, photograph, photographic, negative, blueprint, plan, map, model, instrument, appliance, or note relating to national defense, which this clearly is, or information relating to national defense, which this clearly was, which information the possessor has reason to believe could be used to the injury of the United States, which it certainly could be, or to the advantage of any foreign nation, which sharing what the upper echelon of our government thinks about various nations could definitely be used to the advantage of a foreign nation. And they willfully communicate, deliver, transmit, or cause to be communicated, deliver, transmit, or attempts to communicate, deliver, transmit, or do anything to basically make it public to someone else, much less the general public, or willfully retains the same, fails to deliver it to the officer or employee. That is a violation of 18 U.S.C. 793. In other words, if you have classified information that you're not supposed to have and you share it with people, you've just violated 18 U.S.C. 793. E. 18 U.S.C. 793. You know what the punishment for that is? Where is it? I have it there. Shall be fined on having knowledge that the same has been illegally removed. All this or this blank blah 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 shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 10 years or both. or both. Jeffrey Goldberg is looking at potentially 10 years for writing that article. 10 years for writing that article. And I pray that Pam Bondi throws the book at him. This is not something that should take a long time either to get a grand jury together. This was a blatant violation of 18 U.S.C. 793E. This is, tell me which element. We have every element here. He knows he's unauthorized possession of it. He obviously took a screenshot of it because he shares screenshots of it. Which, why are you taking screenshots of this whole thing? And then he shares those screenshots and he delivers and transmits them to the public in an article he writes for The Atlantic. How is this not a violation of 18 U.S.C. 793? I don't know. But this is something that Pam Bondi should be on like yesterday. Like yesterday. He's not authorized. He knew he wasn't authorized. He left the chat because he knew he wasn't authorized to see this information. So no, he wasn't authorized. He realized he was inadvertently included in it. So, no. Learn the definition of the term authorized versus unauthorized. The point is you have unauthorized possession of it. Just because you're accidentally included in a chat and the guy leaves the chat recognizing that, hey, I'm not supposed to be there, but I'm going to take what I saw in the chat and I'm just going to splash it across the entire globe. Yeah. I'm sorry. We call that an idiot. That's what we call that because you're willfully breaking the law. And it's a sort of law which, like, you don't really need to be some law professor to think, there probably is a law out there about this. Maybe I should talk to a lawyer about whether this is something I can share with the public. I don't know. I don't think he hacked into it. It makes sense that he was accidentally added in there because, let's face it, it's a sort of Signal is supposedly really secure. Unless, someone bungles and accidentally invites the wrong folk in there. So, yeah, I don't think that this story should end with a very, very disappointing outcome for Jeffrey Goldberg. And none too soon. None too soon. I knew I saved this chat. This was before I leave this story. This is that Mr. King being so outraged over climate hoax.
I want to move on. One note that surprised me. I've been on this committee now this is my 13th year. Every single one of these reports that we have had has mentioned global climate change as a significant national security threat, except this one.
Yeah.
Has something happened? Has global climate change been solved?
Yeah, we figured out it was a hoax. It was solved, 100% solved. We realized that it was complete bunk. That's what Tulsi should say, but she doesn't, which is a little disappointing. Not going to kid you. People have to just stand up there and say it. You're thinking it. Say it. Don't worry about people laughing at you. Don't worry about being politically correct. Here's my advice to you. My advice to you is if you're thinking something and you've thought it through and it makes sense, don't be afraid to say it. Just say it. She should say to this guy's face, yeah, well, you want to know why we didn't include climate change in there? Because we also didn't describe a plague of frogs because we're actually trying to deal with things that are, something that we foresee we're going to have to deal with. And even though a plague of frogs happened once, climate change never did. So I can list off to you 10 things that are more of a national security threat than climate change. You want to list them? You want to list them? A plague of blood, water turning into blood. That's something that our national security should be more afraid of than climate change. A plague of frogs, lice, wild animals roaming the earth, roaming America, free and unchecked. That's something that our national security should be more afraid of than climate change. Instant pestilence, where animals just drop dead, boom, like a big national thump that would just like all of them who were standing out in the field just dropping dead. That's a bigger threat because these things have happened. These things are real. That's right. Humans and animals being plagued by boils and pimples. Yeah, that's a bigger threat. Hailstones that have fire inside of them raining down from heaven. That's a bigger national threat than climate change. Plague of locusts flying in from the east. I'm talking trillions of locusts just everywhere covering the earth. That's a bigger threat than climate change. Instant darkness. Just thick darkness. So thick you can't even move. That's something we should be more worried about than climate change. And finally, we should be worried about every firstborn child dropping dead. That's something we should be concerned about far more than climate change. That's what I would have loved for her to say. That's what I would have loved. Dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. Yeah, that's more relevant than climate change. That's why we didn't include climate change. We had 10 other things that we didn't really consider to be of grave concern that were ranked ahead of climate change.
Why is that not in this report? And who made the decision that it should not be in the report when it's been in every one of the 11 prior reports?
I can't speak to the decisions made previously, but
by a bunch of idiots who are basically inducing fear. But
this annual threat assessment has been focused very directly on the threats that we deem most critical to the United States and our national security. Obviously, we're aware of occurrences within the environment and how they may impact operations, but we're focused on the direct threats to Americans' safety, well-being, and security.
How about how they will impact mass migration, famine, dislocation, political violence, which is the finding, by the way, of the 2019 annual threat assessment under the first Trump administration.
Yeah, well, that's before his national security advisor. That's before his intelligence agency had the cojones to say, yeah, this is all stupid. This is all an obvious lie.
You don't consider that a significant national security threat?
She already answered that question saying I can't answer for the last 12.
The intelligence community being aware of the environment that we're operating in is a given. What I focused this annual threat assessment on, and the IC focused this threat assessment on,
are real threats.
Are the most extreme and critical direct threats to our national security.
Let me ask a direct question. Who decided climate change should be left out of this report after it's been in the prior 11?
Sane people. People who are not suckers. People who are not scam artists. People who don't trust Nigerian princes in the emails that they write to them. That's who. That's who. You want to know who decided that? It's people who haven't been buying bridges recently. Those people. Those are the people who decided that.
Where was that decision
I
made?
gave direction to our team at ODNI to focus on the most extreme and critical national security threats
Your
that we
direction
face.
include no comments on climate change?
No, I just said stay sane. I just said stay sane. Oh, yeah. Also, don't fall for pyramid schemes. Don't sell calling cards.
Senator, as I said, I focused on the most extreme and direct national
That's not a
security
response
threats
to my question.
that we face.
Did you instruct that there be no finding in terms of climate change in this report?
I don't recall giving that instruction.
Final questions in a few short seconds that I have left.
See, but she's like, I didn't tell them expressly not to do it. They just
You
left
all
it out.
concede, and it's in the report repeatedly about the cyber danger from China.
All right, so that's that idiot's rambling on there. Let me get some of these chats out here. What do we got? Thank God you changed course. I was about to put this beer through my TV. Thanks, Joe. Can't afford a new one. You're welcome. Joe, climate change has been happening since the beginning of time. There's an effing thing we do about man-made climate change is BS. Yeah, okay, fine. Fine. That's not what people mean when they say climate change. They mean man-made climate change. Are you really saying the plagues in the Bible are more real than climate change? I don't believe in climate change, but it is more real. No, respectfully, no. So I don't know what to tell you, but just no. It's certainly not more real. No. You might not believe you might not believe what people call the Bible or Torah. You might not believe in that. I'm telling you now, it just scientifically, just as far as historical recording of events, which there's absolutely no historical recording of there ever being man-made climate change. Yeah, sure, I understand we have seasons, like we have fall, followed by winter, and then spring and summer, and those seasons are very different from each other. But as far as man influencing our climate, having any sort of noticeable impact on weather that is being experienced by humans, no, there's no evidence of that. In stark contrast, when you talk about the plagues that are referenced in what folks call the book of Exodus, that was recorded 3,300 years ago by people who witnessed it. And we're talking about like millions of people who witnessed it. None of them seem to say that didn't happen. People who experienced it, and millions of people. So I don't know. You can say it never happened. You can that can be your position. I just say respectfully, you're wrong. So all right. That was your theology class for the day. I hope you were taking notes on the 10 plagues. I didn't expect to do the 10 plagues tonight. That wasn't on the agenda. But I referenced the death of the firstborns. At least now, hopefully, then we're not going to be assisting their death in the womb. As Trump is reportedly defunding Planned Parenthood. Yeah! Huzzah! Thank God. Our tax dollars shouldn't be funded on killing of the innocent fetuses that had the misfortune of being contained in the wombs of people who don't appreciate the value of human life. $120 million. That's right. That's what they're losing. Planned Parenthood is getting $120 million. Yep. So that's gone. That's gone. Now, a lot of folks, when they hear about the of getting rid of abortion, I think probably the most common critique, and probably arguably, I would say the most common thing that people who believe in having some level of abortion available, they tend to reference cases of victims of sexual assault or incest. This is the most common thing that you hear. You're likely many people who are watching this show right now are big believers in, I don't really think that abortion is okay. But for rape or incest, and I meant to avoid saying that word. Fortunately, I'm after 2 hours. Hopefully I won't get curtailed by YouTube for that. For assault or for incest, I'm okay with it. And I can understand why people think that that's the human perspective. Someone who's suffered, or some kid who's going to have genetic mutation, I guess, through the latter. That's something that is, we should have this exception. Like, I understand how people feel that's like a moral type of perspective. I disagree with it. I do agree with it to the extent, the only time I believe in abortion is if the child's birth would cause a risk to the mother's life or limb. Like, when I say limb, I mean like if for one reason or another, doctors say like, wow, if she has to go to term, she's going to go blind, or she'll have some sort of other issue that's going to happen to her womb or some other organ or limb. In that case, I would say, okay, yeah, the mother takes priority. She takes precedence every time. She should. That's respecting human life, and her life is no less important than that of the fetus. The exceptions that I referenced as far as assault and incest, I'm not a fan of, even though I know that's the position of many people. And if you're wondering, you want to hear from one person giving their take on why they don't believe in those exceptions, I think this woman has a pretty powerful message.
Charlie Kirk is becoming known for what he calls a fringe belief or a radical belief when it comes to being pro-life.
Somebody in this audience was conceived in rape. Can you tell me who?
Nah. Oh, wait. That's me.
Whoa. Yeah.
I have 2 ultrasounds. One ultrasound is a baby that was conceived in rape. The other ultrasound is a baby conceived in a loving relationship. Which one is which?
There's no like that.
There's
like
no
I've
difference.
said
You're
multiple
right.
times, there's personally, I don't think you can tell the difference once we're fully grown either.
Yeah,
No.
why punish the baby for the crime of some guy that raped the mother? Why all of a sudden have 2 victims unnecessarily?
I found my biological mom when I was 21 years old, and that same argument is why she told me that she kept me, despite the fact that many people told her to get rid of me. Can you imagine that? Having absolutely no support and then carrying your baby to term. She gave me up for adoption and I had a great home. And when I found her, what she told me was she refused to punish me for the actions of this horrible man. I'm nothing like that man. I'm so much like the mother who raised me, and now I get to pass that on to my kids as well. You need to put a face to the person you're saying shouldn't exist.
That ending there to me was very powerful. You need to put a face to the name that you're saying should not exist. You can't try just I defy you to try refuting that. I understand that, let's say, if it's a young girl, like she's 12 and there's a risk to her life, that would be an exception I would understand. But when we're talking about her ability to have children in the future, like it could affect her womb or something like that, that too, that's an organ. So that would be an exception that I would say we should definitely recognize, and that every state should recognize. But a child who's unwanted because of how they were conceived, that's not a valid concern, and give them up for adoption. If you can't handle it financially, give it up for adoption. Anyway, that's my thoughts on it. And they are like one in a million. Like there are millions of deaths and millions of abortions, and they're so rare. I'm gonna go around, make sure I didn't miss any chats before I get on out of here. Dominion F Dark says, Joe, remember to tell people to come to my channel to watch the Mofo No Show Joe Show at 9 p.m. on Thursday when I take off for the night. As I mentioned yesterday, I do not plan to stream on Thursday. I will be in travel down, and I'll be in a hotel. I do plan on having a locals down here at goodlogic.locals.com. So I do plan on having a locals at that point in time, but probably not at 9 o'clock when you're going to be able to go to Dominion After Dark and check out the Mofo No Show Joe Show. Mofo No Show. Mo for No Show Joe Show. There you go. Which I'm flattered that there's something called such a thing. Country Can says, how's this comport with New York Times versus U.S. Ellsberg Pentagon papers? I don't know. I haven't researched that case. I also don't know when that statute was written. It's a fair question, though. I assume in that case they were sharing military information that they shouldn't have. Duckfat says, mens rea, Goldberg knew he wasn't authorized and then leaked that info. Yeah, that's exactly right. And his fact that he left the chat, and he even admits in his article that I didn't think I was supposed to be there, is showing that he didn't think he was supposed to have that information. He admits his crime. It's not on Timcast. It's on his Culture War show, which is going to be Friday at 11 a.m. So I assume it's live streamed, but that's when it's taped. It's on his Culture War show. I assume it's live streamed, but I'm not positive. I think it's live streamed. Woke Australian University are losing U.S. funding here. The Rees. Yeah, well, they damn well should. Are you really? It's covered that already. All right. I had a couple of other small things here. Small things. Should I cover them? I don't know. Feeling a little tired. I'm already 2 hours and 20 minutes in. Feel a little tired. But not really. We'll do one quick one. This is what Democrats are left with today. Insurrection Barbie asking, she's asking, does this rhetoric work on real people? Serious question. This is that lunatic congresswoman. I still don't know her name. I'm kind of hoping I never do. We just call her purple hair. Which, like, seriously, like, what do you think you're like 18? Is that what the hair job is for? Are you 18? Is that what's happening here? Yeah. So this is the rhetoric. Just listen to the complete lack of there being any intelligent thought in what she says here.
Destroying public education in the United States. That's what this executive order means.
So this is getting rid of the Department of Education. Let's hear all the arguments against it. Let's hear the sound reasoning by Purple Hair Woman.
It's the dream of every family to make sure that their child has the best of an education, to realize their dreams, their aspirations. It was
What does that have to do with the Department of Education?
my parents' dream for me, and it's the dream of every parent around the country.
What the hell does that have to do with the Department of Education?
And what this administration is doing is cutting off that American dream.
How are they doing that?
And saying, yes, education is for millionaires, billionaires. Their kids.
How are they doing that? How are they doing that? They're still giving the same funding to everyone. How?
Be well taken care of. Elon Musk's kids will be taken care of. Donald Trump's kids and Linda McMahon's kids.
They're the only ones, just billionaires. They're the only ones who are going to school. As soon as the Department of Education ceases to exist, every kid's going to be out of school. That's what's going to happen. What the hell are you talking about?
But the millions of kids in the United States that will suffer because they have pulled public education, 90%.
Where the hell are you talking about pulling public education? Who said they're pulling public education? What the hell are you even babbling about? What does that even mean?
But the millions of kids in the United States that will suffer because they have pulled public education. 90% of our children are in public education today. It is a shame. It's a scandal to destroy public education in the United States.
How? Who listens to this idiocy? There's nothing in here. That's it. I guess her name is
destroying
Deloro. I didn't want to know that. Yeah, that's what they're left with. Like, who listens to this is like, oh, wow. Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. I didn't really think about that. I didn't think about the fact that kids are in public school. I didn't know that. It's so useless. They're so miserable because they have nothing to do or say. They're so miserable other than file lawsuits and then watch them ultimately fail. All right. That's our show for today, and I'm sticking to it. That's our show. Let me do a quick check around. I'm doing a quick check around. I think I covered everything though. We did. All right. God willing, I hope to be here tomorrow evening at 10 p.m. Sharp. And until then, I'm going to wish you a good day. I thank you all for joining me. I'm going to remind you that lab meat is definitely not for you. It's for they, them. And you know what I mean by that. It's meant for they, them. It is. It's not meant for you. And no matter how, I don't care what the WEF tells you. I don't care what they want. I don't care if it's a plague of locusts or the lice or anything else. Don't eat the bugs. You can step on them. You can do that. But don't eat the bugs. Don't eat the bugs. Good night, everyone. Godspeed.